One of the most important things you can say about any kid, one of the highest compliments you can pay a child, is to say that my child has an enormous interest in a particular subject, has had it for a long time, and is passionate about it. You know, studies of adults who've been highly successful have demonstrated that many of them, when they were kids, developed very strong interests, almost obsessive interests, and they stuck with those interests over time and developed those interests over time. I call those interests affinities, content affinities, namely certain kinds of subject matter that for some unknown reason really click with a kid, really attract that child like a magnetic force, so that that child gets very involved in the particular area of interest. It might be cars, it might be clothing design, it could be mythology, it could be aviation. There's no limit to the possibilities, but I think particularly during elementary school, we should be searching for those areas of affinity. And parents should be alert for these and notice that my child seems to be at his happiest when he's with animals, or that my daughter loves being with much younger children and helping them and supervising them or bossing them around, or that my kid loves clothing and is very interested in clothing and talks about it and seems to be fascinated by the design of dresses or jackets or whatever. I think you seize on those little clues, which are very often a mind crying out to tell you what it's wired for. And the question is anybody listening? So listen, detect the affinities, and then you really go to town with the affinities. You do everything you can to strengthen affinities. And one way of strengthening affinities is to make sure that a child is becoming an expert in his area of affinity. So if your child loves cars, he should be subscribing to car magazines. You and he ought to be going to car shows together, car dealerships together, talking some car talk together, and you ought to be showing your child respect and admiration for his knowledge and interest in cars. If your child loves cats and enjoys talking about cats, she should read cat magazines. She should become a regular participant in cat shows and be able to make reports in school about what she's learned about different kinds of cats. Affinities also play some other roles. For one thing, you can use an affinity to strengthen a child's weak area. You know, it's been shown that the best way to learn how to read well is to read about something you know a lot about. The best way to write really well is to write on a topic that excites you, that you feel passionate about and that you have some expertise in. So we can actually use these affinities as leverage. They can be used to strengthen weak areas, and whenever possible, a child ought to be developing math skills, reading skills, writing skills, even communication skills within that domain called my area of affinity. Kids can have more than one affinity, and also they can change affinities from time to time, but there needs to be some stick-to-itiveness built into a true affinity.